Welcome back, everybody. That was a lively conversation. I appreciate you guys staying in your chairs. Let's move on to our first our second mini game. Do you want to hit the intro to the mini game? It's called Beard Pong.
Beard Pong.
Because we're at the Bearded Monk.
Excellent.
I have a little bit of an advantage.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe may see a little more aerodynamic. Okay, well, we don't have the intro. It didn't download, so
okay.
I'll explain the rules to you guys. We have 8 people running for city council in an actual contest. Jill Jester, but she's uncontested. I asked each of them to ask you guys a question at the table.
Okay.
So, hopefully you guys have good aim, and if not, we have some extras. And whoever it lands in will be the one that asks the question. Hopefully the speakers are working this time. So,
but you do have the text.
we have the text of the questions as well in the video if the speakers are not working. So,
Okay. Take them all and pass it around.
Yeah, take it all.
It's Angela's turn, isn't it?
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, that's right. And then we'll start with Angela. And if we have extras as well.
And hit, or can I just directly
toss it in.
Okay.
Just toss it in.
This might lose me votes.
All right.
I'm not what you call.
Hey, if you want,
I was going to say that's exactly what I'm going to do.
Going right there.
All right.
Oh, I just saw Robert's. I'm like, yes.
This is an interesting one to choose. Okay.
Yeah.
This is Michael Heron. This is his question.
Oh, so
Michael.
he's going to show up here.
It's gonna show up there, God willing. One moment, guys. Live TV.
Okay. Do you have it written down?
I have it. I know what it is, but actually, you know what? While he gets that queued up, why don't we just go around? We'll choose the others, and then we'll just queue it up. That'll be Caleb Meese. All right.
Knocked it over. Count it.
That'll be Erica Garland.
Oh, nice.
Close enough. And that'll be Robert J. Archer III. So, thank you. Did we find Michael Heron's question? We're queuing it up?
Yes, I'm ready when you are.
Hit it.
So my question for the mayors. I really don't have one. I mean, if I come up with one later, because I hadn't thought about it, to be honest.
So this is probably the only time we'll be able to do this in terms of our schedule. I don't know who.
Here, right here.
All right, here.
From the floor.
Yeah, come up. Let me put this microphone on you. Here, have a seat. Get in the light. Okay. You don't have to sit there the whole time. Okay. Introduce yourself and introduce your question.
My name is Michael McCormick. I am the president of Wind River Homeowners Association. In July of last year, a construction company hit a sewage line, pumped 60,000 gallons of sewage into our ponds, killing one of them and contaminating 2 of them. Mm-hmm. And we've gotten absolutely nothing from City Council, nothing from the former mayor, current mayor, whatever. What are you going to do to help homeowners in a situation like this? We are existing homeowners that have been around for a long time. We're stuck. We went to court Monday. They showed up with 3 lawyers for about a $200,000 issue. What would you do to help us?
What was your name?
Michael McCormick.
Michael, nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
I live on your street. Okay, so since we have a few different questions lined up, that will we'll just spend 5 minutes or so on this, and we'll just get straight. Let me set the timer, and then we'll just get straight into open discussion. All right, yo.
I've actually been communicating with Michael Gagne and others on staff about this exact issue. So I'm sorry, Mike, that you feel uncontacted. But I have been talking with members of the community. I have been talking with Michael Gagne. I've been trying to get the city to take steps to make sure that the kind of testing that would back up lawsuits. So to some degree, it is the HO. There's a little bit of a quandary between it's the HOA and the neighborhood having to civilly sue against these developers, and it's just sort of some of the structure. But where the city can help the neighbors is a couple of regards. One, we could provide the backup resources, testing, and materials to have that available so that those kinds of things can be more facile and easier for our neighbors to get most advantage of situations like that. And the other thing that's happening, there's a number of waterways where there's been bad actors of the owner of the waterways creating problems for neighborhoods. We have one up at Hercules at the Sherman Crossing Pond. We've got the one Wind River, and there's an opportunity where there's not substantial park fees, sustainability or tree fund by themselves to create a crisis in a box response thing. But one of the things you'll see, some of the neighbors coming up from the Sherman Crossing area have been working with me and others to put together this idea of a crisis response in a box, to where we can have the potential to have opportunities to combine small pools of money to respond to neighbors, so that these kinds of things can work with the actual owners and create a responsible, environmental, sustainably path forward for folks that encounter these kind of environmental difficulties. And I think it's the only way to respond to the community like that. You can't be dumping sewage
you're welcome to.
into the ponds.
Well, do we get a chance to answer that?
Yeah, no, yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Okay.
We only have 5 minutes,
Okay.
so but
Yeah.
but since he's currently on council dealing with that, I
Okay,
wanted to.
sure, okay. Go ahead.
I met Mike at the Dina Forum, and he told me about this problem they were experiencing. It's now Good Friday, and Mike is at another forum, and I've heard him say twice now that he feels unheard, that he has reached out to the city council over and over and over again. I think you told me 11 times, 11 emails.
I've emailed everyone from city council and have received 0 response.
Yeah. So, and here's what I want to say.
Homeowners that have sent me emails, copying me on them, that have sent them to city council and have received 0 response.
Right. And this is a group of folks who are doing it the way we're told it's supposed to work, right? They have an HOA. They've come together in their neighborhood and community. They've organized. They've reached out to the people who they think should be able to support and help them, and they hear crickets. Right? This isn't the only neighborhood this has happened to. This is happening all over Denton, and it's been going on for years. This community feels overwhelmingly that no one's listening to them. Like, to the point where I hear people say, why should I even go vote? Like, why am I voting? City council already has their minds made up. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. What we have to say doesn't even matter. And I die inside every time I hear that, because I'm a civics nerd.
Just 'cause we're almost
yeah.
out of time.
Yep. Sorry, Chris.
Mike, I can understand your situation. What happened with some families that were behind a apartment construction project that got flooded, they came to the council and said, hey, we need to have something done. I'm not on council. I immediately called the city manager, said somebody needs to stop work order on this. They need to stop work on this project. Because I think you said this was apartment building being in construction. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
They
should
issued a stop order, and then it was lifted within a month.
Okay, that's the problem. Because that's one of the primary levers and leverage that the city has. Because they pulled a permit, they hit a sewer line, they've created an environmental toxic situation, and the city should have used that leverage. Now, I don't know all the facts, I'll be honest with you. I don't know the facts. But I can tell you right now, I would act the same way with your situation and your neighborhood's problem that I did with the people who got flooded. Called her immediately, began to give her suggestions how to deal with the developer, and we're finally finding a pathway to figure out. For them, it's just monetary compensation because of the flooding. For you all, it's a lot more involved. It's cleaning up the pond. It's making sure that they pay for that type of cleanup and to pay the damages that have happened in your neighborhood. So I don't know what's happened as far as the facts. All I know is I have served a lot, but what I've done primarily is when people are in a problem and they need some help and solutions, that's what I try to do. It doesn't mean I'm always perfect, but the city has to use the leverage that they have. You know what the most important word, hold on, the most important word the city has? They can always say no. It's 2 letters, that's it. No, we're not going to give you. We're not going to lift that stop order. And then people start coming to, I'm sorry that you've experienced that. I'm really sorry for that.
Shannon, did you want to?
Yeah,
We're a little flexible with the time, but.
Along with Chris, I also don't know all of the facts, but what I can tell you is I have common sense and I can recognize that these development companies don't care about your community or the wildlife that they're building on. And there is no reason that city council should not be communicating and pushing back against these development companies directly. And if I was your mayor, that's exactly where I'd start. And it does take community input. It takes coming together, collaboration, organizing, and I want to be the person that leads that charge.
Yes. Okay. We can't just choose between applause or snaps. I mean, I like both of them, but anyway. Okay, let's go on to Caleb Mace. Maybe.
My question to you is, how would you? Hold on. I'm sorry. Let me think how to word this. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. That wasn't easy. Okay. My question to you is, how would you include the younger generations whenever you're thinking about Denton?
I mean, pretty straightforward, y'all.
Y'all want me to go first?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am a younger generation, and I'm up here because I have seen millennials run for mayor and win. And why did they win? Because they wanted to do right by people, because they have an abundance of compassion and care, and they center their communities first, not their ideologies, not their religion, not their political parties. They center people, regardless of their backgrounds. And how am I doing that? I'm involved right now. I am involved in so many different groups in Denton whose initiatives are led by people younger than me. And I recognize as a mentor for college students that I have so much to learn from anyone of any age. And that's how I pull people in. I create ideas that involve young people and I bring them into it. And this isn't hard. This is also not that deep either. It just starts with caring. It starts with showing the young people in our community that they can have a leader and a job like this can be attainable to them.
Yes. Get it.
Anyone?
Yeah, I'll go.
Young people.
You know, when I served before, we had a program called the Mayor's Summer Youth Job Program, where we would invite high schoolers and young people to come and interview, and they would basically have internships in the different departments in the city to learn more about what are we doing here, what are we doing there. We can also continue to include anyone, young people, older people, that on boards and commissions, to really invite them to come, participate. So, but unfortunately, the Mayor's Summer Youth Job Program sort of got canceled somewhere down the line. I'm not sure what that happened there, but we can include we can include people, young people, to do that. I've got young people involved in my campaign, because they want to learn about what's happening in Denton. I think what's really the sad part is I think they've quit teaching civics in some of the more
they quit teaching that a long time ago.
Did you read my notes?
No. So I think in some ways people just don't understand really the process and not how to get involved. So we can certainly improve the opportunity to help younger people to come in, but we've continued to do this. And, I think that's sort of what I was able to do then, and that's what we've been able to do moving forward, and we can continue to do that and build upon that. Absolutely.
Shannon, you were gesticulating wildly. You want to?
Sorry, it's just like, obviously I know how to do this. I wouldn't be sitting here right now. That it takes just showing people that if you try, you can. And I guess I am so sorry. I told myself I wouldn't do this, but I'm so frustrated because if you were living in Denton, can I get a show of hands if you were living in Denton during COVID? Okay, cool. Do y'all leave your hand up if you remember the Black Lives Matter protests? Yeah. Leave your hand up if you remember who installed curfews during that time. Yeah. And we had to be home at a certain time, and we weren't supposed to, as youth, feel like we could show up and support our communities.
Thank you, Shannon. Thank you.
Brian, anything?
Yeah, no, I think this is a clearly a college town oriented on folks at currently Shannon's age. I think it's really important that we continue those sorts of paradigms through into all levels of civil government and boards and commissions. I go out of my way to try to find young people because you want to make sure you don't get the same continuing ideas, and you want to mix and freshen the pot and get new perspectives, new ideas, especially on people that are straight out of college and have been studying this, and you then get that mix of experience and fresh ideas. It's really important, and I carry that through all the kinds of things that I do. Most of my campaign staff are under 28. Most of them are women, and so it's an opportunity. It's saying that can you provide opportunities and pathways forward, whether it's youth councils that still exist in some of the various service organizations that I've been working on for several years. I won't name drop, but there are youth councils that are big on. And well, I'm not so sure that service organization would want me to name drop. So
and we don't have the time anyway.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's an opportunity to constantly plug people in.
Sure.
Absolutely. So I ended my last response saying something about being a nerd about democracy and like getting involved. This has been my passion kind of always. I was the kid in college who volunteered on campaigns. I actually slept outside of early voting the very first time I went to vote in 1992. We used to camp out for tickets to concerts. I don't know if y'all remember the days of this. For the younger generation, we used to have to go camp out for tickets to concerts. So we camped out to vote. This is how much of a democracy nerd I am. And I found my passion for teaching doing civics education, and I love civics education, and I desperately want the city of Denton to have a civics education program, pre-K through 12 and into college, for those who are in college, and for plugging in young people who are not in college. I mean, I appreciate Brian's referred to our college students a lot, but there are more young people in Denton college age who are not college students. Sure. So we need to find a good role for them. I mean, folks who finished high school and went straight into the workforce, who are making our city run. And I really want to see our community invest itself in understanding our government, understanding a citizen's role, and becoming a truly citizen-led community where people come first always.
Sounds good. Sounds fun. Okay, next up we have Robert J. Archer the Third.
He's in the house.
He's in the house.
Residents are tired of paying for lawsuits and failed policy. What will you do under your leadership to ensure that stops? And what accountability lies when it does happen?
On the clock.
Say it again. I missed
Yeah, can we get the
missed
first part of that? Something lawsuits.
Residents and taxpayers are tired of paying for endless lawsuits.
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. I assume he's talking about the marijuana and cannabis and all that jazz. And there's probably others too, but should bad act? I mean, Robert's in here.
Robert's
but
there. Can we get clarity on that?
Right here.
Just have him come ask the question.
Can we have Robert come ask the question?
Live.
Microphone.
Oh, hold on. Let me put a microphone on you.
Boycott, employee harassment claims. I mean, there's a whole lot of lawsuits currently since 2024 that we've spent $1.5 million of taxpayer monies for. Why?
Yep.
Why?
Okay. Yep. Whoop. Come back over. Why? Why? You're a why guy.
Yeah, no, look, it's fine. I'm the one on council, and you, one of the things that you have to make sure you do, let's go through some of them. The marijuana one that you brought up and that he alluded to as well. I think, this has come up in a number of forms and a number of conditions. This was brought before us by the citizens. It became a citizen-led petition. It became a citizen vote. And the appropriate way for the council to respond to its citizens at the 72% level is to say, okay, this is what you've asked us to do. And then there are some people in the community that say, well, no, it's illegal, we can't do that. You don't know that until you've taken it through the court system. It's not on us to make those sort of law prognostication. You need to make sure that you follow the will of the people through the court system. And now the courts have said a few things, so that's sort of put a curtailment on some of that. But when we represent the people, when we're stewards of the people, the bullhorn of the people, you do your best to follow their guidelines and dictates.
Should have stopped it before it got to that point. Public education is number one.
Robert, unfortunately, you're not on the show right now, but 'cause I honestly appreciate the passion, but
Yeah.
we would put a microphone on you if we could, but.
I'm with Brian. I'm glad that we took that lawsuit to court because 72% of the people in Denton wanted to decriminalize marijuana, and I thought that was a fair fight to put up. I also think it was the right choice to stop when we did. Once the Supreme Court made the choice, the Texas Supreme Court made the ruling that they made with San Marcos, and it was clear that that policy couldn't go forward, that there wasn't a legal way for us to do it. But I think we needed to have a court ruling on that and that it was fair for us to participate in that particular lawsuit. Now with other lawsuits like harassment, or if the city has done something wrong to people or employees of the city have done something wrong, that's a real problem, right? Like, that's the kind of preventative lawsuit prevention we really need to focus on, is making sure that we are always fully training and making sure our staff is aware of all of their legal obligations and that we aren't putting anyone in a position where they have to be sued for harassment, things like that.
Sure. Well, I'll jump in just real quick. Just going off of Robert's passion there, is that, I mean, and we haven't even had a chance to really talk about it. We don't have time now, but with the deficit that we're facing, I think that's probably where some of the anxiety comes from when we are looking at all of these lawsuits and potentially, costly issues. So I think that's where
Absolutely.
a lot of the anxiety.
I think there's a huge demand in the community for us to use our resources wisely, right? That we can't.
Sorry, Shannon wants to.
Sorry, Shannon.
Oh, no, you go.
Okay.
Finish your
It
thought.
looked like you were gearing up. So.
Yeah, we do need to use our resources wisely. And that one exception with the decrim lawsuit is the one that I think that we were justified in spending money on. But we definitely need to make sure we're doing work on all those other areas to not get engaged in lawsuits because there is a real desire to not waste money in courts.
Sure.
I understand why Robert is upset about this, but I have to gently push back a little bit. Along with Prop B being something that people voted on, it also looked for the community coming together for a cause they supported and agreed on. And for me, I am adamantly anti-ICE. Voting for me means keeping ICE out of the City of Denton Police Department. It means refusing for the City of Denton Police Department to sign 287G agreements. And you know what? I don't know what that's going to bring on for the city. And I'm going to be transparent about that right here, right now, because this whole time, my campaign and me as a person has always prioritized everyone who lives in this city. And that includes our immigrant communities who deserve to feel like they belong and feel safe here.
And I think that does. Sorry, and I'll let you do. But I think that does bring up the transparency and the communication issue with this with the community. 72%, you know.
Look, having practiced law for a while, lawsuits are, a lot of times people bring lawsuits against you. Lawsuits are never good. I wish that everybody could sit down and solve problems without having to go to court, because you really don't get, people go to court to get justice. We try to do that, but oftentimes you got people who don't know you trying to decide an issue that's so deeply personal to you. Many times we've been sued, and we have to sue, but one thing you hit on, and that is transparency. Because I think one thing we have gotten into lately is we have too many closed sessions. We have too many sessions behind the closed doors. And one of the things that I want to propose and what I want to implement is, before any closed session, we take an itemized individual vote of the council to make sure that everybody's voting to go into closed session. And that allows a discussion to occur at that time on why we should be going in closed session and on why we shouldn't. Because there's been things said in closed session that have nothing to do with the legal aspects of a case. Unfortunately, lawsuits are a necessary part of the game. You can't be a $2.5 billion budget and have 2,000 employees representing 150,000, 160,000 residents with everything that goes on. We have to be prudent about, well, we have to be prudent, because I've heard things when we should have settled, when we should have taken care of people. I'm just going to say this, I'll just put it out there. Because one of the things that trips people up is the laws of the state. And sometimes we can get out of a lawsuit because the law allows us to do that. But if we've harmed one of our citizens, I think we need to think very carefully, because just because we can rely upon, quote unquote, the law, doesn't mean that you have to. It means, can you do what you know is the right thing to do? And that takes political courage, it takes political will, and it takes transparency in the process to let the community go, this is how we do this. And I think we need to definitely make sure that we are informing the community. If we're going into closed session, why are we doing it? And if it's talking about legal matters, the city attorney can weigh in. It's all an open conversation. And then we have on record who's voting to do that. And then we all can become more accountable for that.
More informed. Okay, so the last one is Erica Garland, and it's actually a really fun question to end on.
Oh.
And not in like the way it's been fun tonight, in an honestly fun question. So if we could hit that.
So I think that what I would ask them is what I ask every candidate when I'm interviewing them for a role. I would ask them, what is their greatest strength? What is their greatest weakness? And what do they feel like will be their biggest challenge in this position?
And because this is kind of a hiring question, and it might be a nice way to end this, and less of a discussion question because it is personal. Let me put a couple of let's do 60 seconds each, and then maybe we have some time left over. Flexible 60 seconds. I'll let y'all finish writing down the. Got it? Okay. We ended with, you started, so let's go with Brian.
I think my background in science, and analytics says that my strength is that. Crunching the numbers, doing the homework, digging down, and spending hours on an issue, trying to understand that at a fundamental level, so that I can be the ombudsman of the people and make sure I'm providing the oversight, looking for opportunities for solution building and flexibility, and more than just the paradigm that you're told or the options that you're getting, but see what the full framework is. So I think I'm very good on that. And the issues of weakness, while I have been an educator for 37 years, the way I've done that is to meet with my students and communicate with them, but you don't always have that opportunity on the dais, and sometimes I'm not necessarily the most glib talker. There are people in other facilities that have a little bit better way with words. So communication is really important, but I think the way you get around that, you recognize your weakness and you keep working on it, and you say, okay, I'm going to continue to engage with the people, meet them where they are, and you work on your own issue as if it's one of the problems that you're trying to solve.
Away with Words, one of my favorite podcasts. Okay, Shannon.
I think my strengths are my abilities to be accountable, transparent, honest, and show up and do the work. And all of those things go together, right? In order to be an effective leader, you have to have components of each of these things. You have to be somebody that people want to look up to. And then that's where the weakness comes in, right? There's all these little ladies out there that think I don't know what I'm doing, that I'm a fresh face to this. They don't recognize that I have education from every college in our town, that I have networked and communicated with almost so many nonprofits in our town, and beyond the many ones I've mentioned earlier, but even some of the bigger ones. And so a weakness is trying to overcome the mindset that someone my age isn't cut out for this, when all night all I've done is prove to you that I am fundamentally cut out for this. And a challenge, I think, as going into the council, I think it's going to be reminding everyone that makes it there that we have to collaborate and we have to work together, and we have to set a new standard for what we want our city leadership to look like. And I do think we're starting from scratch, and that's a challenge.
Mr. Chris?
I think the greatest strength and greatest weakness is just bringing my humanity, my lived experience growing up, really struggling as a teenager with my single mom, with housing insecurity, with being homeless briefly because of a domestic violence incident and witnessing that. And so I bring the strength of that character building that, unfortunately, tragic situations like that, if you heed the invitation to grow. The weakness on that is you still fight some of those demons. And you want to make sure that you're very self-aware to understand where are your biases, where are the things that you think you're right on, where do you think you're wrong on. And so I bring my humanity, and that has both strengths and weaknesses. What's the biggest challenge? The biggest challenge is going to reverse the culture that we have on council, therefore reversing some of the culture we have at City Hall, and bringing back to the community a council, a body of governance that is welcoming, that is not divisive, that welcomes every voice to come in because it's in disagreement that I think you find your maximum solution. I don't know where we've gotten off to the fact that if you disagree, somehow somebody's right or wrong. So yes, those are my answers to that.
Ooh, that was really, I appreciate you sharing that. That was really nice, Chris. Okay, so my biggest assets that I'm bringing to the mayor's office is the ability to hold space, listen, and create teams to solve problems. That's what I've done throughout my career. That's what I love to do, and I have a real knack for it. Not just a knack, but also academic expertise that I'm bringing to the table. I think my biggest weakness is the perception that we need someone who's had this type of management experience before to serve in this role. That's not actually necessary, right? We need a leader who has vision and who has my positives, right? An ability to hold space, listen, and build teams. That's what we need, a vision for the future. We don't have to have a person who's served in council before. Our biggest challenge is the thing that worries me a lot, and the thing that I spend a lot of time daydreaming about for if I get elected, and that's making the city of Denton believe in us again. I think that so many folks in our community have just lost hope with the city council. They don't think the city government is about the people of Denton anymore, and I think getting their trust back is going to be an incredibly big challenge.
Cool. Well, I just changed my microphone battery so I can do the outro. Thank you, everybody, for.
I thought you were going to add another 3 questions.
No, we don't have time. We're overtime at this point. Mute. All right. You guys gotta I'm gonna steal this from you. You guys gotta let me talk for 60 seconds. Thank you for joining. I know it was a lively discussion. It's an important, extremely important thing that we talk about. All of the things we've talked about, and there's a million more, obviously, that we could be getting into that we didn't even talk. We didn't even talk about the deficit, y'all. I mean, come on. But I appreciate you guys being willing, being open, sharing a part of yourselves and your perspectives. And I appreciate Bearded Monk for hosting everybody. Thank you, DCTV, Dean, all of it's honestly been, these are all people that that have been working with my show, and it's just been like so heartwarming for me to see all these people come together around this weird idea I had a year ago, and honestly believe in it and like make it into a real thing where we're having a real conversation, you know. So thank you, DCTV, thank you, Dean, thank you, just everybody. Thank you, community, for coming out. I don't really have like a outro or anything, so I'll just say good night and thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Godspeed.
Godspeed.